Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Be More podcast, where we inspire you to be more of every role within the Salesforce ecosystem and beyond. For today's episode, we are exploring what it takes to be more Chief Growth Officer. And I'm joined today by Oleh. So if you could start by introducing yourself to our audience, please.
Hey, Tom, thanks for inviting. It's good here today. My name is Oleh Mykytyn. I'm original from Ukraine, from city called 3. It's in Lviv region. Yeah, I used to be in the technology for 10 years now. I've been as a developer, as an architect. I then grew up to being a leader of a like delivery team, and then become a manager more on a growth side. So now basically I'm responsible for our growth strategy and leading our market sales, pre-sales, alliances department to align on a GTM. It's a go-to-market strategy to help revenue generation for our company.
Okay, awesome. Well, that sounds great, and looking forward to diving into that a little bit more in today's session. So, I'm assuming this is ultimately for a Salesforce partner or consultancy, right? And what does your typical kind of day to day responsibilities look like? Like, do you have such a thing as a typical day? Like, what does it actually entail?
So my day is pretty packed with meetings. I'm often talking to sales teams, quite often overseeing our pipeline, sales activities, what is our forecast, what is our revenue plans, and so on, to make sure we are aligned with our company goal. But often also my day include talking to the marketing team. So we often align how we can support our sales activities. So it all requires what conferences we attend, what events we are doing, what webinars, what different campaigns, and so on. But also being as a tech guy, I'm very often aligned with the pre-sales solution engineers team. Also, very often I involved in our key accounts and key customers where I'm supporting our pre-sale activities with supporting what is solution going to be, what is the roadmap for a customer, what is their Salesforce products that will generate them more return of investments, and how to make them more successful on a Salesforce and support their business growth from that side as well. So I would say my day is a mix, include talking to different teams and making alignment and close the bridge between all of them to make sure that we all align to get our company's goal accomplished.
Awesome. Well, that sounds great and varied, and I can certainly attest to. Sometimes I feel like I just have a day of meetings and nothing else, so I totally get that vibe as well. It's interesting how you touched on like still kind of almost wanting to be like hands on or like kind of in the technical weeds of things as well. Like, how do you balance that along like with your other responsibilities?
So to be honest, it's quite complicated to still be updated on every product, on what is available on the market, because we also work with not only Salesforce product, but also with App Exchange, right? We also have a lot of different apps available there. We build partnerships. This also takes a lot of effort and time. So for me to be more successful on a pre-sale solution engineer side, I need to keep updated and keep follow the news. So quite often I travel to the conferences, I read different blogs, trying to watch different webinars. But also it's hard because sometimes I don't have much time for that. So that's why I have a talented team who are product experts on a different side of the Salesforce. In that case, we will bring our expert to the different customers or different projects, dependent on what is the business requirements. So then we can be aligned and also to recommend the right solution. But personally, I'm trying also to understand as much as possible. Uh, Unfortunately, not developing as I was doing it in the past, but still trying to keep updated.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. Like as an architect, sometimes I have to step back from things and think, okay, yeah, this is probably best left to somebody else to develop. So I think we've touched on it a little bit already, but your role as chief growth officer, like you interact with other roles as well, and I think we've touched on a couple of those already. In terms of kind of day to day and kind of how you work with your colleagues to achieve that collective goal, like do you interact with particular like project teams and things like that as well? Like, are there any particular roles that perhaps you haven't touched on that is important for you to kind of keep touch with as well?
Yes, this is a good question. Most of the time, I will be focused more on working with executive teams and on a kind of growth and revenue generation side. This is about marketing, sales, pre-sales solution engineers, and executive management. But quite often, we also need to be aligned with the delivery teams. For example, like if we have a project signed, we need to pass it over to our delivery team. So then we need to do a good handover and also pass all the details, project details, timeline, and all requirements to the delivery team. That's required a lot of communication. Also, quite often I communicate to the project managers for a project overview to make sure that those projects are going smoothly and through the projected timeline and everything going successfully to make sure that the customer is successful and we can continue working with them in the future as well.
Okay, awesome. And I guess, does your day to day involve kind of a touch point with some of the teams at Salesforce as well?
You mean external teams?
So like Salesforce account executives and Salesforce solution engineers, do you work with
Of
those
course.
teams too?
Yeah, of course. We have sometimes that we work with account executives from Salesforce and their solution engineers because quite often we are co-selling the projects. That the customer comes and they say, "Hey, we need to buy Marketing Cloud." Then we will have account executive from Salesforce that we will negotiate to make sure that we recommend the right platform, the right license, and the right solution for them. Quite often, we also work with the solution engineers to make sure that we build the right proof of concept together and that we do like a discovery sessions and so on.
Okay, awesome. And I think that's important as well. And hopefully you would agree to like work towards that collective goal that the client has and ultimately touching on how they can make the most of their investment within Salesforce or the App Exchange project. Let's try that again. Products. So yeah, I think that's a really valuable.
Exactly. Quite often we're trying to combine and to connect three dots. It's a customer. This is the most important because we are doing this for them. But we
Yeah,
also need to make sure that it also works with the sales force and their focus and their priorities. And
yeah,
also if our team can also support this success, and then we have our expertise in house, everything can be done successfully.
yeah. Awesome. Well, that's I'm assuming that's a very fine art because sometimes those priorities probably conflict with each other, right?
Of course, and it's always like that. You need to find that a middle and golden dot that will satisfy everyone, and then to have success at the end.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so thinking about this now, I'm assuming you play this role full time, right? In other roles within the ecosystem, sometimes you're an admin for part of the time, and you're a business analyst for another part of the time, and you're a consultant for another part of your week. Like in terms of your role, you fit everything kind of under the same title, right? And you do that full time.
Yeah, for my role, I'm doing it full time, but it also, as you understand, it blends with the different roles. For example, sometimes I'm more into sales role. I never been in sales myself. I was more on a delivery side and in a development side. But now I feel that I'm learning how to be more in sales, and quite often I'm also involved in sales phases, and sometimes I help to open the door to the customers, or sometimes I build some synergy so then my sales team can pick it up and continue the conversation. Or sometimes I'm also trying to work on a marketing side more. For example, I'm speaking on a webinars, or I'm going to speak on a webinar next week, so inviting everyone for a field service webinar. Or sometimes I need to help marketing to understand what is the focus and the trends right now, so then we can align it with the Salesforce ecosystem, with all global trends and so on. So this means that I'm kind of full time, but sometimes my job can shift from one department to another when my help is needed.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And I love how you touched on the field service thing. I'm going to dig into that a little bit more. Like, does your company specialize with certain clients in certain industries with certain clouds, or do you take kind of a more broader approach? Like, how does that work?
So we have our key focus on industries. So some of
Hmm.
them are like main one is manufacturing focused. But we also work with logistic customers. We also work a bit of with high tech. Also, we have professional services companies. So this is like our main focus, I would say. But also we have some expertise in some specific products. For example, like we cover all core products like sales, service, cloud, but also we cover a lot with the CPQ now with Revenue Cloud. We do quite often with the field service because as we support manufacturing, quite often they need field operations. So that's why we implement this product for them. And I would say one more very strong for us is integrations. We do a lot with the MuleSoft. We did a lot in the custom integrations in the past. Also, we use other middlewares. And now, as a trend goes, we do a lot with AI and Agentforce as well. So this is kind of like our main expertise, but if needed, sometimes we can do other products as well.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. That's great. That's good to know. Like, from my own background, I work for a consultancy and we just focus on like impact management for non-profits, so kind of a very specific niche. So it's good to know how it works from kind of
And
your
it's
point of view.
and it's very right because when we start doing consultancy, we've been doing the different kind of the projects, different
Mm,
industries, and then you are expert everywhere and nowhere. So it's very
yeah.
hard to keep your expertise because then companies come and say, "Hey, what is your top expertise?" And you kind of like you do whatever project you got, right? You don't stopped on the projects. You always keep them. But then we understood that it was hard to position ourselves. It was hard to sell ourselves.
Hmm.
Then we figured out where we have the most expertise, and then we started like improving in that area and focusing on that area, and that brought us more success than just doing everything at once.
Yeah. Okay. I certainly get that. And I think you ultimately offer more value to your clients that way as well, because you're not just a Salesforce experts, but you can talk to them about grant making or impact management or whatever it is that you're kind of
Exactly.
specialized in. And also potentially how other clients do it as well. And like how you've seen best in class, right?
Yeah. What I learned, like it's not about Salesforce at all. It's about customers and it's about their clients. So it's they are doing their business to grow success via their clients and they want to
Mhm.
automate their business. For them, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter with which platform, which tool, with is it Apex, is it Flow, whatever. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. For them, they need their business processes are aligned and automated and all is optimized to support them their business growth scaling up and serving their customers as good as possible.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. So, kind of shifting gears a little bit, but if there's somebody that's listening to this and maybe they're feeling a little bit inspired, what tips, advice would you give if that person was looking to start out in a similar role?
So I would say first of all would be more on a soft skill side. When I've been more on developer side, it was more on a hard skills. I learned how to develop good components, good modules, like build good solutions. But I never knew how to like good good to sell that service, right? How to do a good demo of that. So sometimes it was hard to get those skills of doing good discoveries, understand what business needs, how business operate. So then I was shifting my skill set to be more on a soft skills, to
Yeah.
learn how to communicate better, how to explain better, how to listen better. Sometimes it was important to understand what your customer talking about, like,
Yeah.
because like you're very focused on a development, but then you are not listening to them. What is their business value? So
Hmm.
for me, it was more to shift that side, and also to understand how go to market works, how marketing works, how sales works, how solution engineers works, how all of this like goes as a one machine, and
Hmm.
how you can convert it into pipeline and do it like very smoothly, like step by step. So it
Yeah.
was very important. And altogether, I learned how to do a good storytelling skills. And now I'm improving my sales skills, how to be more like better represented,
Mhm.
to explain my point of view and give value to the customer from the first second we met.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's awesome, and that shows growth too. So I love that, and I think those kind of softer skills are important in many roles within the ecosystem, and sometimes it involves having some difficult conversations, right?
Yeah, quite often it's difficult because I have always a feeling or some scary that I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You need to find the answer right away. And the
Mhm.
point is that you're not supposed to know everything, right? You need to be expert somewhere and keep being expert there. Like it's impossible to know everything. And also, I feel when I'm honest and transparent with the people, they also more respectful for you, because
Yeah.
like when you're trying to lie that you know this and that, and they feel it, then they don't like believe you anymore. So sometimes it's better to say, hey, like I know this should be like in this way, but I'm not 100% sure about this part. Let me try to
Mhm.
bring my expert, or let's look into this next time. Like I'll prepare some information. So then it will have more trust, and I think it will end up with more success than you will try to hide something.
Yeah, I totally get that, and I think trust is super important for any relationship. So yeah, I think that's super valuable. So thinking about this now as your own journey in chief growth officer, like as a role, if you were to start that journey again, is there anything you would change or do differently? Do you think?
I'm not sure that I will change something. I'm still learning my journey, like through my journey. Like I even couldn't imagine where I will go and where I will land up, because when I was starting as a developer, I didn't even understand at the time if developer gonna work for me, because like it was hard to pass the certifications, it was hard to learn the technology. So it was challenging at that time, but then I was keep going, and I always was very passionate about doing something. So if I start something, I'm trying to finish it, like no matter what. And I would just be more confident, let's say it in this way, and just like everyone learning and everyone doing mistakes, just keep doing them, be more like actionable. Because I remember like sometimes, like I was a developer and then there was a project, they need an architect. I was like, wasn't confident that I can be architect at that time, like. But by me, my brother, my team was pushing you, like, you know a lot, you can do this, because sometimes we've been working with architects who are lower levels than I was at that time. And then when I started doing this, yes, you feel not very confident at the time because you're doing this first time, but then you learn through the journey. And having that support and confidence is very important. So I would just be more focused and not scary. Just like keep doing, be more actionable, and your experience and results will come later.
I love that. I feel like I might steal that for a future episode. Be more actionable. I think
Yeah,
that's
that's for sure. Because sometimes you're reading the books, you're listening, you're doing like a lot of investigation, but then you're not doing the actions. And this is a moment where you learn. Even
yeah,
if you fail, this also your experience. You learn something, right? So that's why I think just keep going, do more actions, and results will always follow.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's solid advice there. So thinking about this now as the kind of a typical person in this role, do they have any particular skills or kind of attributes or perhaps like personality traits that you would use to describe them? Like, are they curious? Are they good communicators? I know we've touched on a few already, but is there anything more you would like to add?
I think what is very important is to have your strategic thinking and have a vision. Like, I feel like myself, I always figure out with some ideas. I always see where we can go, what we can do. Always have some good like problem resolutions. So I feel like I'm good in like finding those solutions. And I think you need to have that strategy and how you can get there, like your execution. So that's very important. The next thing I would say, leadership is important, because without leadership, without being like inspiring other people, it will be hard to accomplish something. So you need to have some authority, and you need to make sure that people trust you, and then they will follow you. So the leadership skills is very important. And then I think it's more operational skills, just to know how sales operates, marketing, and those other departments that I mentioned, just to make sure how you can combine this all together to achieve those strategic goals that you have in front of you. But I would think this is like the main three things that I would recommend.
Okay, awesome. And now thinking about this again as perhaps your current role, which is like a chief growth officer or perhaps kind of sales in general, is there anything that people think of sales and they think of a certain like misconception or assumption that they jump to because it's kind of that type of role? Is there anything you'd like to kind of clarify or make more people aware of about your type of role?
So when I stepped into this role, I think we had a bit of issues with like disconnected experience of our departments. It was like happening that marketing doing amazing job, sales doing amazing job, but they are not working as a synergy, and like then the results doesn't come. So that's why it's more about making sure about alignment within everyone, and to build that smooth experience, and then you have good planning within everyone, because sometimes everyone on their own can do a good job, but it doesn't go as a machine. For example, like you have like your a car, and if one wheel is not going well, the full car will not drive good, right? So you need to make sure that you balance it and it all goes very smooth. So this is like what I'm trying to accomplish right now, from end to end experience, from marketing to delivery. So like have full process, how it goes step by step. And also you need to make sure that you have optimal resources. Like sometimes like you can spend a lot of effort, a lot of resources, but it will not bring you results. So you need to make sure that you focus on the right thing. And then these alignments will work at the end of the day.
Yeah, awesome. So kind of what I take from that is like alignment makes great relationships, and ultimately if you're all working together towards the same goal, then you can get there kind of quicker and in a more collaborative fashion. Do you think that's a fair summary of what you've just said?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
sounds like 100%, because like it should go very aligned. And
Mhm.
if you achieve this, then your role will be successful.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So we are wrapping today's session up, but before we do go, what's a way for people to connect with you? And do you have any particular pieces of content that might help somebody on their journey to Chief Growth Officer?
Yeah, I'm still thinking about having my content plan and share more, but I'm still pretty new to my role and learning and putting my library together. So hopefully, somewhere soon I will share more.
Okay.
But from time to time, I'm share some posts in my LinkedIn or Twitter. You can
Hmm.
just find me by my first and last name, Oleh Mykytyn. And if you want to see some of my personal life, I have it on my Instagram. You can connect me there as well.
Nice, awesome. Well, I think that's great, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what that content library turns out to be. I hope, as we've kind of reflected on a little bit today, like that it will be as much as about your successes as it is about your failures, because I think failure is really important, and without making mistakes, like I wouldn't be sat here talking to you today. Do you think that's important?
Yeah, it's very important. I agree. And
Yeah, and
I also want to recommend people like just start doing things, take some actions.
mhm,
It's sometimes it's a risk, sometimes it's uncertainty, but growth often happens when there's risk and uncertainty. It's how you start scaling up. So and don't wait for quick results. Like sometimes it needs to take some longer actions, but results are always coming and returning. So for example, like you go into the gym, like you will not receive results in 1 week. You need to go at least few months to see something there. So this
yeah.
is exactly similar.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for your time today, and hopefully we inspire some people to be more chief growth officer. So thanks again.
Yeah, and please connect with me. It's always important to surround yourself with similar mindset people. I'm
Mhm.
always looking forward to connect with some new people from community, from whom I can learn, from whom I can also share my experience, because we are giving back to each other and learning from each other.
Yeah, that's really important as well. I think again, without the community, I wouldn't be where I am today. Like I know so many people through the community, and it's
Exactly.
so valuable sharing. Yeah.
And I feel that what I learned, it also happened like because of community, because I
Mhm.
was attending so many sessions. I was speaking on the local community groups. I was organizing the local events. So it
Yeah.
also was building that leadership skills, giving back skills, like mentorship skills. It's all important. So yeah, please look for community in your area, or if you don't have it offline, you can always connect to some online, for example, sessions like this,
Mhm.
or any other community events.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tom. It was pleasure. Thanks, and yeah, we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. Bye bye.